What's up, everyone? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and one really important way that you can support our show is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. One of those places where you can subscribe, and we highly encourage it, is on Apple Podcasts. If you visit qpnt.net/Apple Podcasts. You could subscribe to the show and listen to all of the episodes. And please leave us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points, and leave us a review. We really want to hear from you, and it helps to spread the word about the show. It's that simple. Thanks so much for tuning into Q Points, and thank you so much for supporting us. Have a great one.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
What's up, DJ Sir Daniel? I am Jay Ray, also known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay the Third.
The third, and welcome back to another episode of Q Points, your visual podcast, a safe space for meaningful dialogue about the global impact of Black music. Jay Ray, wow. It's been, first of all, good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
Congratulations on part 2 of the of your last segment with CMP and that Kipper Jones, man. That Kipper Jones is a treasure box of information and history.
Listen, Kipper Jones, if y'all don't know, just go to kipperjones.com and make sure you follow Uncle Kipper. He is truly, I call him the missing link when you're talking about like Black music stuff, and just like, if it's Black music history between like the late 70s and now, Kipper Jones is probably connected to it in some way.
Absolutely. And it's so important to have people like him around, and for us to celebrate people like him while they're here, which is something that we, has been magnified in the past few days. It's like right after last week's show, the inevitable happened, but we were all informed as a global family that Biz Markie, aka Marcel Theo Hall, transitioned. We know he just been, that has been something that he'd been dealing with or battling, for the past year. And finally, our favorite, architect, our beatbot technician, he's taking his rest.
Absolutely. Such a kind of pioneering figure. And at the time, and I talked about this too in a video that I did, at the time when I first came in contact with him, I remember thinking, oh, this guy's different. Like, he was just different. He looked different. He sounded different. Even though he was like spitting a rhyme that I think that Big Daddy Kane wrote, like, he sounded totally different than what, like, he was. It might have been a Kane style flow, but it was definitely a Biz cadence. And just a master of, like you said, the beatbox. And I hesitate to use the word character. He was just like an entity unto himself. Like, he literally lit up a room. Whenever you saw him in an interview, you could not deny that he was present. We have all the music. So I'll say we'll be missed. But he left us with a lot.
He did. Just thinking about the mark that he made on the culture, and thinking about all the hits, Make the Music, it goes on and on. I can't help but to automatically, when I think of Biz, I think of Shantae.
Right, because they were like a gruesome twosome. Those
you
two.
know what I'm saying? Those two, they were like the kid brother and kid sister that came to just wreck shit and just cause a lot of mayhem.
A lot of mayhem.
But you have fun with them at the same time. And I thought and I think about Shantae a lot during this time, because one of my favorite songs is Death Fresh Crew, and it's really like a perfect exercise in MC and beatbox. Going together, and
yes.
Just the routines that they develop together as a duo. It's just groundbreaking. It sounds a little elementary at the time, but when you think about the intricacies that the two of them, the building that they did together as a duo, and on stage, making sure that they they could feel each other and vibe off of each other, that took a lot of skill, and a lot of people built their reputations and built their skills off of that. So big shout out to Biz Markie. Everybody that begins to talk about him talks about, like you said, how much of a light he was, a character, very charismatic, funny, intentionally and unintentionally.
Right.
He was a major collector of vinyl, knickknacks, sneakers, you name it. So he will definitely be missed, and it just that of course sparked this week's discussion.
Yeah.
We were going to go somewhere else until we heard the news, and then we saw an article come out, and it was just like, yeah, we got to talk about this, because death is inevitable.
Yes, it is.
However, it just seems like many of the people, I like to say, of our generation, a lot of the Gen Xers, or people that have entertained Generation X, within like the past several months, man, it's like been a checklist of people who have just been leaving us, and too soon, abruptly.
Yep, and particularly the men. There is something about, and I'm so glad we're just having this conversation and keeping it real. There is a thing. So they're like some of the older Gen Xers. So we're still all in the same. We're probably we're like younger Gen X. We're younger Gen Xers.
We're in the end.
Yeah, we're towards the end. And so there is something about that was passed down, I think, that still got to that generation, that I'm glad we're having this conversation today, because we absolutely need to start to talk about health more and more and more. Yeah. So
Saturday, I was on Twitter, and I saw a tweet by Joy. Good old Joy. And it states, I'm going to read it verbatim. I ain't going to hold you, but the Gen X loss of life over the past 6 months has really been weighing heavy on my spirit. And I just want y'all to know I love you, and I keep you in my heart's meditations. We're a special generation, a bridge.
That's us.
When I tell you that thing did something to me, because oftentimes I think we're overlooked. And then because we've given a lot.
Yes.
And a lot of people are, elevated because of it.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, I also feel like, yes, this past 6 months, like there have been names, we just rattling off names of people who have passed, and they're crazy young. Yes. That's the thing that gets me every single time, is that these people are no more than 10 years older than me, 10 to 12 years older than me.
Yep. And I think that's the thing that's hitting home for me as well. And you know this about me, Sir Daniel, like mortality is something that I have been focused on, because I guess I'm steeped in where my life is at this moment. Okay, so I think I need to add some context for Q Points viewers. You are watching me from my parents' home. I moved back into my parents' home. It will be 2 years in November.
Wow.
which is nuts to me.
Yeah.
Because time has flown. But I moved back here suddenly to care for my ill parents. My mom, but more so my father. And so mortality and thinking about health and thinking about black men in health has been so present. So watching what has happened in hip hop over the last 6 months is just like, dang. And we know, to your point, Sir Daniel, death is inevitable. We know that it's going to happen. And it's just like, whoa, like not seeing some of it coming. And so yeah.
And as you say, you know, we're constantly like, we talk a lot about both of our parents.
Yes.
You know, we're kind of in similar situations, and we're faced with it head on.
Yep.
And it just feels like every time somebody slightly older than us, you know, transitions suddenly, we feel like we're kind of pushed to the head of the line, like. And then you start wondering, like, whoa. You know, every time you get up and you feel that pain in your knee,
yep.
or you know, if you feel like, am I breathing correctly? It's like I'm constantly monitoring my own daily functions as a grown up, you know, who. Sometimes it's weird. I don't feel like a grown up sometimes, but my body reminds me all the time that you, sir, are of a certain age, and you know this body is rented, and it depreciates each and every day, actually, and it makes me just like, I don't know about you. Well, yes, I do know. We talk about this a lot. Like, I'm trying to do things to get like this weight.
Yes.
You know, weight is a big deal. Like, even over the past year with the pandemic, that quarantine 15 is real, and sometimes it's 20 and 25 pounds.
Yep. Yeah, man.
And just trying to stay on top of our health is really a daily job. And you know, I just know that you're also trying to stay and monitor your health as well.
Absolutely. I know. One of the things that has been really important to me especially over the last couple of years, but generally, is being honest about my health, being honest about who I am and what I do. One thing that I'm learning today, this is really funny. This is probably something I knew, but one thing I am accepting is that I'm a stress eater. And I'm like, oh, you stress eat. So monitor that sort of thing. So as we think about aging, because listen, here's what I want, Sir Daniel. And I told you this. I'm going to say this. I want us 30 years from now to be we're going to be 70 something, having a Q Points, we talking on the documentary, or having a reunion for Q Points, and we're going to be cool old dudes. And just like talking about music and young people and all the thing. I want that.
and trying not to judge them, but judging them at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. And, you know, trying to increase my water intake and, you know, all that good stuff. But you know who never takes their health for granted? Black women. Black women do not take their health for granted. I live with a black woman. When I tell you she is on it, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, everything. And it was like a stark contrast.
Yes.
When we saw how many of these male rappers are transitioning early, when a lot of the women rappers, oh no, they're flourishing.
Yes.
Like, their grandmothers, they don't even look. I follow Moni Love on Instagram. Moni Love is a grandmother, and she's in her early 50s. She just had a birthday, and doesn't look like anybody's grandmother.
Yep.
I know she's taking care of herself. I know she's, you know, doing all the things necessary to be there for her kids and be there for herself. And the same thing goes across the board for just about all the women rappers that we know of.
There's this, I hadn't thought about this until you said it. I remember this because it was so unique. Jean Grey was on, I think it was on, I think she might have been on oh shoot, the Sirius XM show hosted by, oh, why is his name escaping me? He has dreads.
Sway.
Okay. I think she was on Sway. But here's the thing. She had her breakfast. She was eating like cantaloupe. And she was eating her little cantaloupe and had her little water at her breakfast. And what stood out to me is I'm like, oh, she's eating like a really healthy breakfast. Like she's eating like a really healthy breakfast. She was there like doing her interview. I'm here, but I'm also having my breakfast. And here's what it is. In her little container, like she brought it with her. Yeah. And I'm just like thinking about the fact of, you mentioned something, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. There is this idea, and this came up, I know that we're going to talk about, actually this is perfect time, we're going to talk about the NBC article where, and we'll put a link to it in the chat, how folks is trying to dudes is trying to look invincible. It seemed like nothing's wrong. And yo, I want to say this right now, rappers, it's okay. And we have to focus younger. Like we're talking about older folks transitioning. These young kids, da baby, you need to be eating cantaloupe while you going to your interview and showing the people that, you know what I'm saying, that health is a thing, because the time to start is like as soon as you can.
Is now, and especially if you have the resources. And we'll talk about, we'll talk about the disparities between the have and the have-nots when it comes to health resources.
Absolutely.
And that includes what kind of food you purchase, right?
Yep.
So as we were saying, you alluded to the article, NBC Black, after Biz Markie passed away, NBC Black posted an article about hip-hop, inside hip-hop's complex relationship with health.
Yep.
And on the cover are several male rappers, right? Rick Ross, Freeway, people like that, people that have passed on, Eazy-E. And when I think about Eazy-E, I think about what you just said about how a lot of the men, how sometimes we don't want to talk about our health because we want to look invincible. When Eazy-E was transitioning from HIV/AIDS, it was kept very quiet because the conversation didn't want to be had, or they wanted to, even to this day.
They still don't want to have that conversation.
They deny the fact that man passed away from HIV/AIDS. His family, I believe his son is a staunch proponent. He does not believe that his father passed away from it, and it all stems from the not wanting to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Let's even get away from the whole AIDS equals somebody being gay. Let's even get away from that. The root of that is being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And a lot of us men do not want to appear or look vulnerable, even though we're in the throes and the grasp of the deepest pain.
Absolutely. And so when we think about hip hop as well, and I'm curious to know what the audience is coming up for the audience too. When you think about the types of, the reason why I Need Love from LL Cool J was such a popular song, it's because it was like, Houdini had done it, you know what I'm saying? It had happened before, but it was just a reminder that, dudes could express feelings too. Yeah. Like one of my favorite joints is Silent Treatment from The Roots. Like it's slow, it's poignant. It's like, these brothers is like emotion. We don't want to show it. Hip hop, we have accepted hip hop as very masculine and very everything is, you gotta be strong, you can't do whatever. And what I loved about that NBC Black article, particularly Freeway, talking about, no, they didn't want me to talk about my kidney failure. And I was like, what?
like we were gonna look at him
And but
less than
right.
if we knew that he was that he had an illness,
Yeah.
something, something that he couldn't even help.
Yeah.
Is the fact, he was I believe it was kidneys, right? His
kidney failure.
His kidney failure. And so, you said something else. So we accept the rage of hip hop. We accept that. Even Jay-Z.
Yep.
He said he can't do it, but he wants to let the song cry.
Right.
He can't.
He can't do it.
He can't cry, but I'm gonna let this song.
I'm gonna let the song cry.
I refuse to do that, and I'm a staunch believer that when you hold that stuff in, it's gonna manifest in your body somewhere or another. I don't have any proof of that, but I really do believe that
it does. Listen. I am a best friend of Fonda Clayton, and Fonda Clayton Smith will tell you. Listen, if you have a pain in your toe, something else is going on somewhere else that's manifesting that pain in your toe. So let's deal with that so that we can get to the other side. And also in what you said, like that idea of letting the song, that was a perfect example too. The song cry, because I've always said, when a young black man shoots a gun, that's crying.
Yeah.
He don't got no other way to tell you that something else is wrong. And this is the outlet. And so in hip hop, you get all of the manifestations of that. But the thing about it is, but the hip hop is also truth. Yeah. So many of us don't have the ability or the language to be even able to say, my knee hurts and I should probably get that looked at. Like it shouldn't hurt. You know what I'm saying?
I had this pain in my side. I've had this pain in my side for several weeks now. But I ain't gonna tell nobody because I don't want anybody saying anything crazy or looking at me sideways, which brings me to the question of the week, right? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about Rick Ross is on this article as well. Yep. Do you recall? It was several years ago, a few years ago, when he just kept having these seizures, back to back to back. Lil Wayne kept having seizures back to back to back, and it was this whole cover up of what was happening. Why nobody would say he's having seizures because
right.
And so that brings us to the question of the week: does hip hop culture promote wellness? And I'm gonna let you answer that. But does hip hop culture promote wellness?
No. So okay, this is a complicated response. I think that when we talk about hip hop culture, I think the very essence of hip hop culture is about wellness. And here's what I mean when I say that. It's an outlet, right? So when we talk about MCing, we talk about DJing, we talk about b-boying, and we talk about graffiti. All of these things are things that are good. These are things that allow people to do something to make something out of their situation, despite whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So those things inherently, there's nothing more aerobic than breakdancing. I can't even do it. There's nothing more aerobic than that. There's nothing more impressive than a rapper being able to spit rhymes off the head that rhyme and can do it over. Like that is exercising this.
Beatboxing.
Beatboxing.
That's breath control.
I didn't even talk about breath control. DJing and dexterity, like graffiti, once again, mental, art, mind. Hip hop, by its very nature, is made to free Black people from a situation. So I think naturally it is healthy. I think though what we have elevated is unhealthy manifestations of all of those things in some way, shape, or form. Like we've rewarded we've rewarded the behavior that's not necessarily healthy. So does the culture promote wellness? I would say popular culture, no. And that's where we get into trouble. I think that because now hip hop is the culture. Like hip hop is it. So I think we are at the point, and I hope with this NBC Black article and just kind of all the conversations that we're having, that we're at a turning point where hip hop is like, ooh, we should, we have to talk about health and wellness. I don't think it, I just don't naturally think it does, but I think the culture is a healthy culture.
So to your point, you're absolutely right. I think in its inception and its intention, hip hop was at a point was supposed to increase wealth.
Yeah.
And when you increase wealth, you are supposed to then, when the creek rises, the ships rise, then you're supposed to increase your livelihood, your life, and wealth. Health comes along with that because you're able to eat better, you're able to live, you don't have as much stress, you're able to live in places that are more secure than the hood that you were growing up in. So yes, I totally agree that hip hop in its inception and its intention was about wellness, about being whole and being well. Also to your point, I think with that wealth came along some bad habits, came along. I think when you look at it, tour life, if we're just, if we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of it, tour life, the early days was not healthy.
No.
I mean, if you think about what the forefathers went through when they went on tour, they tell you they were stopping at the McDonald's, they were stopping at diners to eat. Fast forward to the chronic era, then it's smoke weed every day.
Yep.
And there are people, there are schools of thoughts that think that weed isn't necessarily detrimental to your health.
Yeah.
But then if we fast forward to now, what we're seeing is a lot of these kids today are experiencing more than just weed. They're experiencing cocaine, which, people did coke back in the day. A lot of, all your rappers had, if they had La Rock or Spoon in their name, they was on the slopes. Definitely. Look that up. If they had La Rock or if they had a Spoony this or Spoon that in their name, they would, right. So anyway, but now what's happening is that the substances, the cocaine, is now we're finding is being laced with fentanyl. And so that's why you have a lot of these kids passing out, dropping dead. They're giving the kids nowadays have to go, when they go out with little tests to put on, to test their coke and their weed to show, okay, this isn't being laced right now, so I could probably take this and I could survive. And it's so commonplace now. There's an IG comedian personality that I follow, and she was just recently here in Atlanta, and when she got back, she's from your neck of the woods, and she got back, she was like, yo, Atlanta, y'all gotta chill with the coke. She's like, y'all aren't even trying to be, ain't trying to be shy with it, y'all are all out in the open, just doing your thing. And I was like, wow, she's not lying, because the drug use, which I think, if we be real about it, we lost DMX.
Yeah,
and we
did.
lost Shock G, both to complications from substance abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think the reason why this conversation is good, people substance use, you do whatever you're going to do. Like I'm definitely going to, you get the opportunity to make those decisions. And I think why this conversation is important is I think because what we're really trying to get to is the root of why so many of us are succumbing to all of these different things. So it's beyond just kind of using, right? It is kind of some of the excessive use that or not kind of, and all the other stuff that kind of goes with it. I think what's sticking out to me or coming up for me as we have this conversation is there's so much stuff that Black men that we hold
Yeah.
and deal with, and just trying to get by. So when you mentioned going on tour and like eating the McDonald's, first of all, they ain't had no money. They gonna stop and eat what they can eat. They eating at diners across the country. They staying up all night
long,
partying because and then you're looking for some way to find joy. Some find the joy in food, some find the joy in substance use, some find the joy in sex. And it is, but at the end of the day, it's like, how do we get to the root of what each of us need, so then we can begin to have healthier habits with the stuff that we do.
And it begins again, healthier habits. And I want to spotlight that it's not all doom and gloom. There are people within the hip hop community that are promoting healthier lives. I automatically think of Styles P of the Locks, who along with Angela Yee and DJ Envy have started their Juices for Life stores, shops in New York, all across New York. And they intentionally put them in the hood because we don't always get the best fruits, the best nutritious, alternatives to a quarter water. We don't always get that in the hood. We can get all the quarter waters we want. We can get all the 40 ounces we want, the malt liquors, the chips, the chopped cheese. We can get all of that. But what you could really keep you going is some kale, some blueberries and ginger. That makes a difference. That makes a difference in whether or not you're able to concentrate in school. That you can stay up.
Yes.
But if I had a quarter water and some nerds for breakfast, I'm being in class like knocked out. And then those are things that those habits continue throughout your life.
Absolutely.
And I'm living proof of that. Luckily I had a balance, but I had my bad habits, and they manifest today in me trying to get rid of still trying to get rid of this weight. Yeah. But I also want to shout out a tribe called Health here in Atlanta. And their goal is to erase health disparities in urban communities and amongst the hip hop culture. Yeah. So there are movements out there.
Yes.
There are people that want to see us healthier, but there are some changes that need to be made. And a lot of the stuff that they're fighting is systemic. It's
systemic.
It's baked into this country of ours. And let's call a thing a thing. It's systemic racism.
It's systemic racism. When I think of, so Chester is not I guess technically not a food desert, but it basically is. There's one supermarket in the city proper. I happen to live 2 blocks away from it. But it's too expensive. The fruits and vegetables aren't the freshest. It is literally the place you go where if you have to go, if you like, I just need to get this real quick. I don't need to go shopping. I just need to pick up a couple of things. You run in there. And when you mentioned about the juices, right? Yeah. There is something, I know this now as an adult. As a kid, you don't know because you drinking. I'm going around the corner to the store and I'm getting a little hug, which are disgusting, by the way, y'all.
Wait, what did y'all call them?
Little hugs, they're quarter waters.
Okay, so y'all call them little hugs. Okay, we call them quarter waters in New York. Right, okay, gotcha.
If you're watching this and you've had one as an adult, let me know how that turned out for you. Because I had one, I was
awful.
Like, what in the...
It's just pure syrup. It is syrup. Oh my God.
It burned the back of my throat. It was bad. But the reason why having the juices when you're young is it also trains your palate to be able to taste food. Right? So I've learned as an adult, like my palate has changed so much, right? When something is too sweet or too salty, I'm going to be like, no. Too much salt, too much sugar, I'm good. But it took me years of playing with this palate, getting that ginger on that palate and getting stuff going. But all of this is systemic. When you don't have the ability to get that type of stuff easy nearby, and it's second nature to be like, I could grab this apple or I can grab this cake. Now, some days you might want the cake, and that's fine, as long as the most days you get the apple. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I had a cake today because I mostly had an apple.
But what if you don't even have the choice?
What if you don't have the choice? You only have, if I could only get as far as the gas station that's a block away from me, I could get fried chicken.
Yep.
You know where else I could get fried chicken? I could get fried chicken a block in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
Both full of sodium, both fried, and that's all they can get. And you know what else? They'll fry you some fries, and they'll fry you a mozzarella stick, and you might get fried chicken, French fries, and a mozzarella stick.
And the whole time your arteries are just like,
no!
Let me free, let me free. So I mean, but yes, all of that is on purpose. Mm-hmm. It's systemic. Matter of fact, when Biz passed away, Chris Hayes, who is a white man,
real white,
who's a white man, but is also, you know, grew up as a hip hop generation kid, and it was on his heart to report this on his All In with Chris Hayes last week. Nail, meathead, right on it. White men can live up to 75 years old while we check out at 68. Mm-hmm. And all because this country has set it up to where, based on your neighborhood, based on your skin color, mm-hmm. you may or may not have access to, as we said, you may live in a food desert. Mm-hmm. You may not have access to the best produce. You may not even have access to the best health care, because absolutely a lot of times your family is depending on the clinic, the local mm-hmm. clinic, for your health checkups. And a lot of times, you know, if you just happen to get somebody who does not look like you, and who believes that you can take pain more than because you're black, you know, you may not be getting the best health care either.
And we don't, I'm gonna use a personal example, and this was infuriating to me. There was a doctor here in my hometown, a black man actually.
Wow. Okay. Who
was my father's doctor for years. Now, I just wrote a story about, you know, the fact that, DJ Sir Daniel is part of that story. Thank you so much for being part of it. So when I first started to get engaged with my dad's care, I tried to call his doctor. His doctor would never call me back. 4 days. Where I'm trying to get information, I'm trying to get paperwork, I'm trying to get stuff done. I literally, on day 5, said, "You're getting a new doctor." Because this is ridiculous. And this is a black man, but he was a black man in this city, in this poor city. And apparently so many people were going to him. And when we were having nurses come here, they were like, because they know what the deal is. So once again, it's a situation where you live and what you have access to can dictate what can happen. Because I immediately thought, imagine if my dad had the doctor that he has now 10 years ago. What difference that would make. And also, right, I had to learn how to talk to my doctor about what's wrong with me. Yeah. But I had to have a doctor care.
Yeah.
But that literally was outside. That was Atlanta before I first had that experience where this white man sat in front of me and was like asking me questions. And I'm like, wait, what? I get to like weigh in on this?
Right. And it's not a hurry up and wait situation.
No, he was sitting there. I could see what was on his screen and what he was typing. Like it wasn't a secret. And then that taught me to have agency in my health when I go somewhere else. So I'm able to sit and talk to doctors on the phone and ask questions about things. But once again, that comes back to what you have access to and where you're from. So when we talk about a lot of the folks that we're talking about, they didn't grow up in any sort of privilege. They grew up the way they grew up, and they was working. The reason why hip hop got them out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hip hop got them again. The intention and the inception was to get us out of the hood and elevate us to where we can do better. We can live better, live longer, and pass that on to other generations. One thing that we have not mentioned also is the mental health aspect of it, because stress kills more than anything.
Yo.
And a lot of being a black man, if we're talking about the racial disparity, being a black man, hell yeah, our lifespan is cut shorter than white men because we're not constantly in the crosshairs of the police. Nobody else carries around stress like we do.
Yep.
And a lot of times we invoke that or perpetrate that stress upon each other.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know how to work it out or to talk it out, which is so funny because you would think in an art form where you're expressing yourself, you're expressing your deepest thoughts, that these things would be easier, or the load would be lightened, or it would teach others of us to, be able to talk about these things, that, hey, you're not alone. The Ghetto Boys talked about mental health. My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me is a song about mental health.
Yep.
And, they weren't able to talk about it, but that was their way of getting it out.
Right.
So that stress is a key component, if we think about a DMX.
Yes.
A lot of times when you're taking drugs, you're taking it to numb.
Yes.
You're taking it because you don't want to feel something. And that young man that was thrown into the foster system, foster care system, which is a whole nother story.
Right.
He was traumatized at an early age, so of course he's trying to numb his pain. And that's what a lot of these rappers that have gone on untimely, they were trying to numb their pain.
Yeah, man. Stress is, if there's one thing that I thought about it today when I talked about stress eating, it clicked, and I'm glad that it clicked as a reminder, because it was, one, a reminder that, okay, I'm experiencing stress, and two, here's the way I have historically coped with stress. Let's admit that. Three, how do I alleviate this stress in a way that is healthier? So, do I need to call my therapist tomorrow and make the appointment because I haven't been over there for a while? Maybe that's what I need to do. Do I need to go and walk tomorrow and just like breathe some fresh air? Maybe that's what I need to do. But at least it is checking in with my feelings to be able to do that. And so as we think about hip hop, and I can't speak, what I can speak to is hip hop that I know and that I love. It does spark some emotion. And if for folks watching this show, I would say, well, what are those things that are that can kind of help you get through?
Yeah. And
go back to those things. So that's what I would say today.
I will say, to the credit of a lot of young people that are the gatekeepers of the industry now. You know, they're trying to make therapy sexy.
Yes.
I just recently saw a clip of Charlemagne the God and Meek Mill. You know, and at one point, Charlemagne looked at Meek and was like, "Yeah, I really want you to start therapy."
Yeah.
And he was being dead ass. He was like, "No, seriously, I want you to start."
Yeah.
And it's not about making it sexy. It's really a necessity.
It is.
And for us to start looking at it as a necessity. But in preparing for this show, I just started seeing some similarities. So we were talking about tour life earlier, right? And then we started talking about racism and systemic racism. And I just can't help but to wonder, let me put my Hotep hat on and my the red eyes. I don't know if you've seen that meme. When the music industry is a reflection of real life when you think about it. Like a lot of these rappers that, you know, thought they were escaping life in the hood and in the ghetto and getting into the music industry were actually just being faced with another demon. Because when you think about it, when you get into those contracts, there's nothing in those contracts that says anything about you getting a healthcare package,
Zero.
or a dental package, none of that stuff. Nobody insists on you going to the doctor. You are exposed to, and from what I hear, you are provided a plethora of alcohol and drugs to keep you hooked, to keep you doped up and, you know, uninformed and lazy and whatnot. And then on top of that, you have the stress of trying to maintain this lifestyle, trying to maintain this facade, this image, trying to maintain record sales. You know, your body's under stress because you're out trying to tour. You know, you're going from continent to continent nonstop, which leads to more drugs to either help you go to sleep or to help you stay up. Jesus. And then when the time comes to turn up, what's waiting for you? Big booty, you know, big booty, a lot of big booty. And sometimes, you know, hey, a lot of it's faceless big booty. So you don't even know who you're having sex with. Yeah. And that's not a judgment. It's just, it is what it is.
Right.
And so I'm just looking at, is the music industry a branch of systemic racism?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, systemic racism is in everything. So it's baked. It's literally baked in. I mean, when we think about the idea of contractual agreements and kind of the way the structures work, these are all structures built as tools of white supremacy, not necessarily for the music industry, but the music industry is just a reflection of all the other structures that have been built, right? So in that instance, yes, it's all kind of an extension. So that's what makes folks that do it differently. I think of like a Master P as like who have like a different business model, because I remember at the time No Limits business model felt so different, and I think that's because it was rooted in something different, like rooted in blackness in this interesting way. Like Snoop tells this interesting story of like when he needed to get out of the contract with Suge, Master P was just like, okay, let me just do that. Let me get this brother out of this contract because it's going to be bad for him. You know what I'm saying? Let me just do this.
Because it could kill him.
It could literally kill him. So let me go ahead and handle that. And we'll do this. We'll get this record thing done. But let me get that. So yes, there's a business component, but there was something else in the stew. There was something else in the foundation. So yeah. We end up replicating, even in black culture, we replicate what we see. We replicate what we have been told is the right way to do stuff. So even when we build structures, we build them like white people build structures. Yeah. So To answer your question, I mean, ultimately, yes. And I think where it's going to be, where our survival is going to, let me say this differently, where our thriving, because we've been surviving and we're going to survive, we're going to be here, where thriving differently and better is going to lie in doing shit differently than the way white folks have taught us to do it. That's when we going to fly. For real.
I agree with you. And we can't have this conversation without bringing up, we mentioned a few names, but we have to bring up Dr. Dre. And I mean Dr. Dre of Yo MTV Raps fame.
Yeah. Prayers to Dr. Dre.
Ed Lover's counterpart. You know, Dr. Dre has been quietly suffering from diabetes as well, to the point where limbs have been amputated and the brother is blind. Like, he can't, you know, I don't know if what he can do, what he can't do. But this gentleman is lingering, you know, he's surviving right now. And to your point about like a Master P and doing things differently and thinking differently, I think there have been conversations stirring in the hip hop community about us creating some type of net, some type of they've talked about like a pension plan for hip hop, for rappers. But also that needs to include health.
Yes.
Some type of health plan, because a lot of these people that have brought us joy, have built this culture, are withering away without enjoying the benefits of what a lot of people have been able to have. And it's really sad. It's like, I've been hearing like Melly Mel and other pioneers are fighting for that right now, right?
Yeah. It makes me I want to lift up Cool Herc. Hip hop's about to turn 50, y'all. Isn't that nuts? Like, hip hop is about to turn 50. We are right on the cusp of the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and that's amazing. And so we need to lift up Cool Herc. We know that Cool Herc has been, you know, quietly ill for several years as well. So the pension plan is going to be whatever it needs to be. Retirement plan. Kipper Jones, who we shouted out earlier, I know that he has been pondering that as well, just in terms of seeing folks, you know, transition and suffer. There are so many folks, to your point, Sir Daniel, that have brought us joy, that have literally saved lives. Saved our lives. These folks need to be able to age in a way that at least their health care, and they're able to take care of themselves, eat, get the health care that they need, so that they can, so that it's easier.
They can live with dignity.
Yes,
it's all about
that
dignity that we all need at all these different points of our lives, especially towards the end of our lives.
Yes, sir.
Because a lot of us are living longer.
Yeah.
But we want to live longer with quality. Absolutely,
sir.
So I know I want to kind of do something a little different.
Okay.
There's a list of names that I'd like to read off, that we can both read off, that who have left us too early, and just want to read their names.
Okay.
And give a moment of silence once we finish.
Sounds good.
I'll start off with Gift of Gab,
Eazy-E,
MF Doom,
J Dilla,
Big Pun,
Prodigy,
Craig Mack,
Black Rob,
Shock G,
DMX,
and of course, Biz Markie. Thank you. We appreciate you doing that with us. You know, I know our audience, they they did that with us. I know
Yes.
they did that with us, and we appreciate you. You know, it's just, you know, we just have to remind ourselves and remind each other and to say thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, and give these people props when we see them. Matter of fact, I want to say thank you right now to my friend. I'm so happy to call her friend. I'm wearing her shirt tonight because I know y'all are wondering, well, you know, typically Daniel has a t-shirt with somebody's face on it. Well, I'm wearing an official Need That Rose Gold t-shirt. I'm gonna give y'all a full look. This is hand painted.
Yes.
Hand painted by a pioneer who I can call a friend, DJ Jazzy Joyce, who I spoke with just recently because I wanted to reach out to her because, you know, Biz was a friend of hers also, and just, you know, we need to check in with each other and take each other's temperature. And she's doing quite well, has some great things on the horizon.
Awesome.
And she loves what we're doing, J. Ray.
Oh,
She loves what we're doing. So, you know, shout out
That's
to
hot.
us. That's hot from DJ Jazzy Joyce. But yeah, I just wanted to shout her out. Thank you for the shirt. She gifted this to us, to me years ago when we did the interview.
which we are going to drop a link in the chat. DJ Sir.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do it?
No, we need to put that on the website.
Oh, you know
And if
what,
they want to they want to see that interview.
You're
with
going to be a
Jazzy
Q
Joyce.
Points insider. It's going on the website. So listen, we got a website. It's qpoints.com where you
Absolutely.
can become a member. You can join the mailing list. Yes, you can do that. And thank you so much for those of you that have joined the mailing list. But if you really want to get inside of what we're doing and be part, you can become a Q Points insider, right? And we're going to have stuff behind the wall, stuff that we're bringing to you. Now, you could do it for free right now. So you could go on over there and become a Q Points insider for nothing right now. You see what I said right now, DJ Sir Daniel?
Time's a wasting.
Time's a wasting because things are going to evolve. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
So get what you can get right now. And one of the things that you will be able to get is that amazing interview with DJ Jazzy Joyce and DJ Sir Daniel. But yo, shout us out. Q Points the show at gmail.com. It's right there. Instagram at Q Points, Twitter and Facebook at Q Show. And make sure that you respond to the question of the week. So the question of the week is, does hip hop culture promote wellness? It's right there on the screen. I'm gonna let the link, I'm lingering because I want the link to be there. But we want to see your faces. We want to see your faces and we want to hear your response. We got some responses that we're going to share. And yeah, man.
It's really dope. I know this was heavier than usual for our conversations, but it needed to happen.
Yes.
It needed to happen. You know, we have to have these tough conversations, but it was done with love like we always do.
Done with love. Indeed. Yo,
Indeed.
Appreciate you, Sir Daniel.
I appreciate you, J. Ray. And kids, what do I always say? In this life, you can either pick up the needle or you can let the music play. This has been Q Points. I'm Sir Daniel.
And I'm J. Ray, y'all. Have a good one.
We'll see you next week.